been judging regionals for a minute. How long have you been judging, actually? Like, just overall
Like
Yu-Gi-Oh!
overall judging probably since 2014 or 15.
14 or 15. So you judged a
About
regional
14,
recently.
I think.
I wanted to talk to you about the experience of it because I have judged like only a little bit. A lot at locals and like I think at 2 regionals. You like judging? Is it fun?
It's fun for me. I can only speak from personal experience, but definitely I enjoy it.
What made you start?
Um,
I know why I started, but
So officially, so really, I started because our locals didn't have an official judge, and it just came down to like, if there's no judge there to actually dictate things, you can just argue.
it's just chaos.
Just to the end of the day, no, I'm right. No, I'm right. Well, how you know you're right? And so it was just a thing to where it would just give us more structure having somebody there. I mean, I don't profess to be great at the game or anything, but I do read cards. I read everything, and so I feel like I could,
a
help
novelty
out.
in this
Yeah,
space
right.
at times.
So, that was horrible. But yeah, so I just feel like it could be more helpful to our community if we had like an official judge to, like for events and things. So
Yeah, I remember judging just because I thought it was like I'm not gonna lie. At first, I just kind of was like, oh, you get like packs or something for doing it. I'll judge
Pay me.
or not. I think these days I would probably actually be doing it more for like helping players out because I feel like sometimes with Yu-Gi-Oh, it's not that the game is like hard or like I think people overblow the whole like Yu-Gi-Oh is ungodly complicated, like you can't figure out how to play anything at all. I do think though that like Yu-Gi-Oh can be like you can quickly run into problems because so much happens so fast.
that's fair.
Like that's the thing.
That is fair.
Because it's like I don't know. I don't like whenever I teach people Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm like, yeah, this all makes sense. Like I don't. Like, it's not hard to teach, but it is when you just sit someone down and play.
Yeah.
Like Yu-Gi-Oh has this way of like I know you probably get like judge calls for it. Even for in 2023, there's still little things that feel like they never go away. Like
Damage.
damage step, Thunder King can't negate like this type of summon,
Yeah.
whatever, and like missing the timing. Like I think those are the top 3.
Yeah, Miss Tommy is definitely
That shouldn't even exist in this game, to be honest. If you ask me, like I think they should just get rid of it. But
they can't Yang Zing. I'm just kidding.
yeah, I don't know. So would you say that players' judge questions have changed at all in the last few years versus, or is it all still just kind of the same?
I feel like the questions that we've always had issues with are still the same. But as far as like players and themselves, I feel like as the game goes on, players get smarter. So I don't. From when I used to compete years ago to now, either competing or judging, there aren't nearly as many like judge calls, especially not on the lower levels. Like maybe YCSs because a little more. There's a bigger, there's more at stake at that point. But just overall, I feel like the players have just gotten smarter. They're able to self-govern, so to speak, pretty well.
Yeah, I feel like that's actually now that I think about it, I think the average level of like a person's understanding of Yu-Gi-Oh is a little bit higher these days. Would that?
No,
yes,
I
no,
agree.
maybe?
I mean, because you have to think we got people that just get into the game like a year or two ago. They're already like topping YCS and stuff, and so
Why do you think that is?
Um,
Because I feel like when we were, I mean, you've been, I think, competing even longer than me for sure. But like, I feel like back in the day, it seemed like there was a much greater like disparity between like, okay, this is like a top player, this is like a mid-level player, like this is like it seemed like very distinct. Whereas now it feels like the average, like you said, like the average level of at least understanding of things is a little higher, and people are like showing up and like getting good pretty
topping
fast.
going well. I think for what I think it is basically back when we played, especially years ago, even before I got competitive. It wasn't meant to be competitive. Of course, anytime you play a game, you want to win, right? But it was literally meant, like, it seemed more just friends getting together doing that. So I feel like nowadays, when people get into the game this recent, they're already around players that have been playing for a while. They're already around. It's not like, hey, me and my friends, we're 21, me and my friends saw this card game, we're going to pick it up, we're going to play it.
Yeah.
It's usually, hey, my friends have been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! They teach me how to play. I really
But
like
you're
it.
going to do it with a purpose.
Right. I like it. I'm about to get better at it. So,
I also think it's the internet too.
I mean, that helps too.
Like I feel like because if you think about, I guess it's kind of like off topic a little bit. We'll venture maybe a little. Do you remember when net decking was like seen as like this sin? Like you remember this, where it's like, oh, you're a net decker.
Yeah.
Like it was a real like mark of shame
No
to
originality.
be like a net decker. No originality. You
yeah.
copy that list. I feel like that's like not as much.
No one cares.
No one cares.
No one
Like,
cares.
I don't know if it's just because like everybody maybe wants to win more, or maybe we just all kind of grown up and realize like, as long as it gets the W, like who cares?
It gets the job done. Just give me my credit if you got my deck list from me and just move on.
Yeah, I think like these days it feels like there's more just information available
Yes.
on the internet. Like, because nowadays cards get leaked from the OCG and like the moment, I mean, just people have already started playtesting. People are already like the combo videos are already out like within the hour at times.
Yes, literally.
And it's just sort of like I think that there's a greater expectation that like decks will be optimized pretty quickly, like the exact combo, the exact thing.
Right, the line to play. Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. I feel like that's something that's maybe contributing to it. I mean, maybe people understand
Definitely
judges
helps.
better.
Well, yeah. At some point, everybody who's played Yu-Gi-Oh had to be a judge. It's in some capacity of the game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Walk me through that. What is that process like?
It depends. Granted, at the passive event, the one I went to this weekend, everybody's pretty cool. Though there wasn't anything like sticky. I like to say
crazy.
Nothing too crazy. But every now and then you get those ones where it's like it's a very convoluted, just ambiguous like interaction. You got to know what it is. You got to know how it works. If you don't, you have to, of course, delegate to your head judge. Always great to have a head judge. And then sometimes that's not enough either. And you get the ones that argue. And that's the biggest part is when you're a judge and you get people to argue. And now, mind you, I'm not the arguing type. You want to appeal, please do. Makes it easier for me. But my thing also is I want you to understand why, the ruling is the way it is.
Why things work the way they do.
Right. Easier said than done sometimes, but.
Yeah, when I was judging, I remember that was the probably the most annoying part to me is just that like people, well, because I didn't argue with the people really.
Right.
I sort of asked them like to you can appeal if you disagree, but that's the ruling I'm giving.
Correct.
So the thing is though is like I feel like people are just very combative, like when they feel that they're kind of being
misled.
Like kind of just like the judge has it out for me.
Yeah.
Like like this judge he doesn't like me. He's got something. He's trying to. When in reality, I really don't think that like. I think most of the. Most rulings are known well enough these days that I don't think that a judge could really get away with trying to like constantly rule against a person.
Right, to attack you.
Because like that just, come on. Like people would know. So I think these days, if you don't know the rulings, you probably, most people know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like shouldn't be as many arguments because I feel like more people just know stuff now.
Typically. Now granted, there are those few instances where, somebody's been playing a game forever and they don't know the one-on-ones of Yu-Gi-Oh! I've had that happen quite a bit as well. And my thing is, I don't ever mind arguing constructively, if that makes sense. Because, if you feel like you're right, then, you should stand on what you say. Don't just take my word for it as well.
Makes sense.
It's the ones that, like you say, the ones that get combative, they get belligerent,
it's more personal at that point.
Right, at that point, it's like, I'm just trying to give you a ruling. Like you say, you can always appeal. But, like, my thing is, please, I never have a problem with somebody arguing. But I know what I will say, and I've told people all the time, I do have a problem with somebody telling me that they don't know something and then arguing when I tell them what it is. That's totally separate. Just... You tell me you don't know, I'm telling you the answer, and you say, no, that's just wrong. Well, you said you don't know. But...
Here's something, too, that I'd made a video about it recently. I kind of wanted your take on it. As either a judge or a player, because, you've probably been experiencing a little bit of both.
Yes. It's awesome, by the way.
The more cards I've noticed are, getting, for lack of a better term, violating your opponent a little more. Like, I've noticed that, looking at your opponent's extra deck and, getting to, take stuff out is, a lot more common. I remember Lithosagem was, a thing some years ago, but, these days, Kashtira, it's just, turn one, it's always happening. We're going to be looking at your extra deck, picking it apart. And, they get Shizu cards, mill both players' decks, and then Mudora's, shuffling stuff back into yours, and Bystial's banishing. Do you feel like that kind of complicates the game state of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! More these days, or?
Nope.
You think it's still just kind of it's
my thing is, first off, and just in general, the game has to progress. So if it's not progressively getting more crazy, then we're doing something wrong anyway. Because the game has to progress. We can stick to the standard, okay, attack you, you attack me, strategize thing. But yes, it's invasive, but it's another layer to the game where how good are you now? Your opponent knows what you're playing, your opponent knows what you're doing. How good are you now to get out of the situation? So
yeah, I feel like it can be a lot to keep up with, but I think that at least
I love it.
With the tell me
I love it. Again, I'm first off, I'm not into anything that's very linear. I won't name any decks. 'Cause I'm going to attack somebody. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not into linear things. So things that have a lot of moving pieces is always me. I'm a Lego guy. I want moving pieces. I want different tiers. Everything needs to come together as its own separate body that is still part of one whole body. I like Chillimans. For anybody who hates Chillimans, I'm sorry, but I think Chillimans was very fun. People may not like the format, but the deck itself, I think,
he's a tier apologist.
I'm not apologizing for anything, but yes, but no, I just think the interaction of it all. People they say they like interactive games, so they became too interactive, and then everybody's kind of that's
maybe
enough.
It's a little too much,
right? You know what I mean? But my thing is no, just keep it all on. We will figure it out. I love it.
So you kind of like just thrive in the chaos. You
Chaos,
let the
baby.
game state get just
Let it all burn
get
down.
crazy.
Yes.
I mean, I think that I will say one really good part about it is that the archetypes I think are exploring more territory that they
For sure.
haven't explored before. Like, and sometimes they're even like sticking within the lore. Like, Kashdera is capturing planets, so they're like locking out zones.
Mm-hmm.
Or like Ishizu in the anime did mill out decks
Yeah.
and like kind of do the whole thing. So I like that the cards are at least capturing like a different sort of side of the game and stuff.
For sure.
Is there anything like any kind of newer card development that has made it like that you've like seen in ruling disputes happen more? Like Kashtira related, maybe like Bestial related.
Trap tricks.
Trap tricks. Oh, okay. I forgot about them.
Trap. Just from my recent judging, now everything has its own weird nuances, but there's a particular trap tricks card for sure that I know for a fact. It's what's it? The trap tricks. The night. It's the new one. The common one, kind of. It can pop a card, then it can banish a card. No, that's not the one. The one that comes back at like
You're thinking
a
of Hotel.
Hotel.
Okay.
That's the one. That was a
Yeah.
ruling nightmare for the originals for me and every judge involved because there were like so many different interactions. And they were not the same interactions, but they all came up with this one card because is it a monster? Is it a trap? How does it work? Somebody tried to send it off of a Rafflesia one, so like it was really crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah. Right, so, because they had hole in the name, right? So like
Yeah, so you could technically send it.
and not to mention, I know we had a few good calls. Like there was one because there's certain trap tricks that are unaffected by trap cards. The opponent plays evenly matched. Well, why are my monsters being
Oh,
So we
yeah.
had a few calls in
Oh,
regards
so
to
trap tricks are.
Trap tricks
forgot about that.
Trap
Yeah,
tricks gave us the time.
That's true. What
so-
about Dark World? Does that like pop up? I feel like sometimes.
Dark World only pops up when players don't understand the difference between cause and effect. Other than that, Dark World.
And
There's
that's
never-
been around since like that's like 15
Forever,
years
right?
ago.
But yeah,
People were
is it card or
didn't
is it, and of course now we
understand
have problem solving card text, which helps out 100 times more. But usually the only time we have questions in regards to something like that, they don't know the difference between ruling and effect. So
Has
cause
Kashtira and
effect.
stuff been pretty much fine for people?
Oh yeah, Cassia just what it says. We're big monsters. We banish things. One's mandatory. The rest aren't. That's Cassia
Yeah,
is
so
pretty
nothing
straightforward
crazy
like,
with them.
at all. Nothing crazy. Actually, there's not many decks that a lot of things are crazy with. I think the Pearly thing might be a little interesting for certain people, just being able to like be unaffected or be able to attach cards, draw multiple cards like that. That one tower is such it does so much in its own right. So
Oh yeah.
we didn't have anything horrible from that, but I feel like it will be.
Honestly, that's a video. You can catch me up on the format because I hardly know anything. Okay, I mean that's interesting. I just wanted to kind of get more insights into what judging is like today. Because like I said, I did it
Judging today is
maybe-
fun, you guys.
maybe once or twice in like 20. You said what? You started in 2013?
I want to say 14-ish, I think. Yeah.
I think that's when I judged. I just only judged a little and then I stopped.
Yeah, I just a few things, and I kind of took a break because I love to play the game, but I want to get more involved in doing both. If I
That,
can.
oh yeah, so you'd rather play than judge.
Everybody knows Trell's a player.
Yeah,
Straight up.
I know some people
So-
don't. I found that like some people I think would prefer to just strictly stay in the
The judge or
like the judging sphere or the kind of tournament organizing sphere.
I had one buddy. He was a judge, and he actually had judged quite a few events actually. And his thing, he said he's a better judge than player. So he went with the bigger strength that he had. He said
Believe it or not, I think that's actually
this is valid.
super
Yeah,
valid.
yeah, for sure.
Because like these days, I think I'm not put it the right way. Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of crazy. Like if you aren't into keeping up with just wild game states
sure.
and like very rapidly changing formats and stuff like that, then I think if you don't feel like it's like for you in that way anymore, then
Right.
judging could be it's an alternative, I kind of I always encourage people, like, even if you don't like the current Yu-Gi-Oh thing, like, I know, like, now more people play Edison and, like, more people play Go,
Oh,
so.
yeah, see. And also, it's just a judging. Like you may not want to play whatever, but also keeps you like on the pulse of the community. It keeps you around. It keeps you
Yeah,
in,
you know, like,
in
what
the
people
vicinity,
are-
right? And I'm just being around people because like sometimes like people are in Yu-Gi-Oh because they like the being social. But if you're not playing, what are you around there for? So
Yeah, so it gives you
'Cause-
something to do and still stay, like,
and still be a
stay
part of the
involved.
game. And everybody who's ever seen me judge, I'm a very like interactive judge. I'm talking to people like they're not doing the game or whatever, but I'm talking to people like I'm joking. Like I mean, of course, I'm sticking with the guidelines of professionalism, but at the same time, like I'm still a part of the community that I love. So
Yeah,
It's
I
still
feel
fun
like
for me.
myself, I've been trying to, like, I went to a sneak peek out of town the other weekend, and it was really fun because, I think I missed the sneak peek for Photon Hypernova just
Hypernova.
entirely, and it was like, I don't know, it was pleasant. Like, I got to go to a new card shop, people were friendly, people were trying to, like, open the new pack and get
sure.
stuff, and I entered the sneak peek, and I played in the tournament. It was just an overall fun time, because, like, sometimes I can get so, I think, like, lost in just the thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh and forgetting to just go and like play
Just
it
enjoy
and just
it,
kind of like
yeah.
enjoy it and let it, let it take you, chaos and all. So yeah, cool. Any other thoughts on it?
That I'm hoping to judge more, and hopefully I'll get high enough to the point where I'll be head
You should
judging.
be judging like a maybe YCS or
That'd be-
something. Have you
I mean,
considered doing it?
I do. It's all about travel. I just if I'm able to actually to get to it because sometimes I'm just busy. But trust me, if I'm going, I think depending on what the next YCS is, I'm probably gonna want to judge. Like if I'm able to. So
Yeah, I know there's a couple coming up. So
and hopefully you guys will see me there in my black on blacks.
cool. Thanks for sharing your judging experience. I thought that this might just be something kind of fun. It's not something that anyone really talks about very much on. Because I feel like that's one last thing too is I feel like no one really knows the judge perspective very
That's
much.
true.
Like I think most people just see judges as either like the people that fucked me over at that last regional,
No.
or they're
Judging's
just
cool.
or they're the Konami shill, or I don't know, just all these different things.
The judging staff I was with this past weekend was really cool. Shout out to all the judges I work with, the head judge Tyler. Shout out to One Up TCG in Mendenhall, Mississippi. That's where we were for the regionals. It was a great time. I'm pretty sure I'll do it again. Actually, I think judging, I won't say it's been better than playing, if I may say this last thing. I don't think it's been better than playing, but I can't think of a bad judging experience that I've had being on the judge's side. And I'm really grateful for that. Like, people give like a lot of judges in the community, they give them hell or whatever, but
Maybe we'll get some flag.
like, I mean, yeah, they get. I mean, but you've got some judges out there that work really hard, and like, you gotta be proud of the ones that you do have. So it was a good time. Hopefully, I'll be one of those judges people be proud of too.
I have to get back and do it myself. All right, well, cool. That's what Terrell's judging experience is like. Thought you guys might enjoy hearing it, and we will maybe see you guys in another video.
Yeah,
Sweet.
fast
Turn.
turn.